everyone, Virgo Triad here. It is October 24th, 2017. Happy Tuesday, everyone. Okay, so I am going to make this video, which is going to be more than one part. And the reason that that is going to take place is because I am getting far too many comments and emails that are suggesting that I don't know what I'm talking about with regards to this being fraud, that the TDA accounts do exist and that you can't get in trouble for trying to access them, so on and so forth. So what I'm going to do is provide you with the links and the information here of many individuals who have gone to jail and gotten in trouble for trying to access these accounts. Now, some of these have to do with the A4V promissory notes. Some of these have to do with wiring fraud of attempting to try to access your TDA accounts through doing things like trying to purchase items using the wiring system being the ACH system, or by attempting to write checks that you have had printed up using TDA Social Security and Federal Reserve routing number information. Some of them have to do with indemnity bond schemes. Some of them have to do with attempting to try to get bonds by filling out 3 pieces of paper because you think that the calculator has told you that this bond belongs to your birth certificate number, when in reality you've given the calculator fictitious information, so therefore it has given you fictitious information back. So without further ado, I'm going to go one by one with a small explanation to each one in an attempt not to scare you, even though that is what the claim will be made against me. I'm not attempting to scare people. I am attempting to educate you in this manner, because by informing you that you can, and chances are will go to jail if you attempt these things, I will hopefully be keeping you from going to jail. So in the event that those that are the naysayers on my channel want to claim that it's a scare tactic, feel free. In this case, I feel that it's warranted. I'm getting far too many comments and emails that suggest that people feel that they cannot get in trouble by accessing this information. So here we go without further ado. Here we go with part number 1 of those that go directly to jail and do not pass go and definitely do not collect $200 million. Our very first case is case number 144681. It is the United States Court of Appeals for the Third Circuit versus David Moleski. David Moleski was unfortunately placed in a situation that he felt like it would be a good idea to try to defraud the government, specifically the Treasury Department, with some falsified information. Here's the background on the case. From February of 2008 to June of 2009, Moleski mailed a number of fake financial instruments and letters to the Treasury, the IRS, and the TIGTA, and private parties in an attempt to discharge tax and consumer debts. First, in early 2008, he sent the Treasury 2 bogus documents titled Private Offset Discharging and Indemnity Bond, and Bonded Registered Bill of Exchange in accord with HJR-192 that I know some of you have heard a great deal about, by which he purported to open accounts for his personal use. Over the next year, he sent through the mail additional fake financial instruments styled as secured promissory notes. Now, these promissory notes are the same as the A4V that you all have heard of, or the little promissory notes to the Treasury, the TIGTA, and several private banks, attempting to draw upon the non-existent Treasury accounts to satisfy his obligations. Those mailings were lengthy, complex, and rife with arcane legal language. Moleski also sent 2 letters to a credit reporting agency claiming that the instruments he sent to the Treasury and his creditors had eliminated his debts. So, for additional information with regards to case number 14-4681 against David Moleski, I will be listing this in the description for you to take a look at. And we are moving on to number 2. Number 2, the United States Department of Justice has listed this on their website. The United States Attorney's Office, District of Connecticut, Department of Justice, U.S. Attorney's Office, District of Connecticut, federal jury convicts Wethersford resident of running fraudulent debt elimination scheme. This defendant's fictitious debt elimination scheme defrauded numerous struggling homeowners, many of whom were immigrants with little command of the English language. Stated acting U.S. Attorney Daly. He took thousands of dollars from his victims, knowing it would make their unsteady financial situation even worse, and used the funds to pay his own personal expenses. All distressed homeowners must steer clear of such schemes and seek legitimate assistance for financial difficulties. According to the evidence introduced during the trial and statements made during prior court proceedings between February of 2009 and June of 2012, Buddhu sold a debt elimination program to several vulnerable individuals through various businesses, including Paradise Consulting Services, HEMA Incorporated, and Secured Redemption. In exchange for substantial fees, Buddhu told victims that little-known government funds, or a little-known government fund, rather, that could be used to pay off their mortgages and other debts. In fact, no such fund exists. Buddhu advised victims to stop making payments on their mortgages and other debts, including property taxes. He also provided his victims with fictitious promissory notes, which he called bonds. Of course, by seizing their mortgage payments and other obligations, Buddhu's victims ended up in foreclosure proceedings and, of course, are at risk of losing their homes and other assets. So here again, we have information on someone who was convicted, by the way, of 6 different counts of fraud. And again, this is going to be located where you can take a look for yourself. 6 different counts of mail fraud and 7 counts of issuing, selling, and presenting fictitious financial instruments, those bonds again. So this will be listed once again in the description for you to review yourself. On to number 3. I thought you might all be a little bit interested in taking a look at what some of these actual fictitious instruments look like. Here is a bond and private issue trust document that was actually made up by this individual. It was made up, according to them, for offset, and the private offset account, of course, is over here. The security bond, non-negotiable private bond for set-off, and the number for Texley Mason, and the principal, registration all zeros. This is one of those fictitious instruments that you're directed to make. So, people going to jail left and right for this, folks. Link will be in the description. Okay, the next one that we've got, Roger Elvick claims he has liberated his straw man, a secret doppelganger created by the U.S. government to capture the economic value of U.S. citizens. As the creator of the redemption movement, a bizarre fusion of conspiracy theories and financial chicanery, Roger Elvick claims he has liberated his straw man, a secret doppelganger created by the U.S. government, and that we have unknowingly all been sold into slavery to a Jewish-run international banking cabal. Now, you have seen this document before on one of my other videos. I wanted to make a little bit more of this so that you understand that this is a 68-year-old man. He was a far-right extremist. He is credited by not only himself, but also the government to be the founder of the redemption movement. The redemption movement has to do with the TDA secret accounts. The redemption movement is founded upon Elvick's outer limits postulation that for every birth certificate issued in the U.S. since 1936 Social Security Act, the federal government deposits $630,000 into a hidden bank account linked to the newborn American redemptionist claim that executing a series of arcane legal maneuvers, a person may entitle themselves to the $630,000 held in the name of the phantom entity created at their birth and may then access these funds with sight drafts, better known to business owners and prosecutors as bogus checks. Elvick also encourages redemption enthusiasts to harass enemies with phony property liens and IRS reports designed to provoke audits. Elvick first started spreading his crackpot vision in the 1980s, and he was the national spokesperson for Committee of the States, a white supremacist group Elvick started with William Potter Gale, who had previously founded the Posse Comitatus, a violent anti-Semitic organization. All right, now I have the lost files, the lost videos of Roger Elvick. I will be posting that in different parts later on this afternoon. I want to let you guys know that this is absolutely where this movement started, and many of people in the family movement may not be aware that this was highly based on racial differences. This man was an absolute racist, not only against Jewish people, but an absolute racist against other groupings of people. So just to be aware, this intelligence report is not the only thing that I have on Roger Elvick. He is indeed who is considered to be the grandfather of the redemption movement, where this secret account information started anywhere between 35 and 40 years ago. I will be posting those videos for you later on. They are very, very long and cumbersome and will take a long time to upload, so they'll be uploaded in sections. But I wanted to make sure this was mentioned in this video part. Okay, and for the final part of part 1 of this video, here we have an article that was placed on LinkedIn. And this was placed on LinkedIn on May 31st, 2017. The IRS terror tale of the month, a sovereign citizen loses his sovereignty. Harold Stanley of Peculiar, Missouri is one more person, so there's been many who have tried but failed to declare himself a sovereign citizen in order to avoid paying taxes. Stanley was 62 years old in May, and the federal government wasn't interested in Stanley's sovereign citizen philosophy, which asserts that he isn't subject to government statutes and that he gets to interpret common law however he chooses. Stanley was arrested for tax evasion, and in court, Stanley was convicted of evading taxes to the tune of nearly $1 million over the past decade. But to make matters worse, the court also learned that Stanley submitted fake money orders for payment to the IRS. Stanley even filed a civil suit against the Commissioner of the Internal Revenue Service and the U.S. Attorney's Office. So now, once again, we are dealing with the indemnity bond issue. I went through and actually looked at this case. We're talking about promissory notes and indemnity bond that he felt he was entitled to. And as a result, even though this article actually calls it fake money orders, it's actually fake bonds. So you guys will have a link to be able to take a look at every single one of these that I've mentioned in part 1. And we are moving on now to part 2.